Everybody, we're here at PRZ, and this is Narco State, Black Cell event. However, I'm here with the ambassador. This is Keanu,
Hey guys, how's it going?
and he's one of the Black Cell ambassadors. I've known you for
4 or 5 years?
Yeah. So, Keanu, what makes you excited about Airsoft? One,
Okay.
two. As an ambassador, how do you feel that Airsoft's coming this year, especially with COVID and all the things happening? And what do you have coming up and currently working on?
That's a lot of questions. All right.
Let's start with all of them. I figured I'd hit you with all of them, and now I'll just let you talk about it.
So, first one was, what does airsoft mean to me? Pretty cool sport, to be honest. A friend of mine brought me into it years ago, and he ended up leaving the sport. And for personal reasons, people have lives, businesses, families, whatever. Just couldn't get out in airsoft anymore, and I ended up being this like lone wolf guy that showed up at fields, and I couldn't believe how open arms people were, and just like, hey man, come over here, play with us today. And then I just started making friends over top of friends over top of friends. And I mean, it's all about the BB wars and the fun and the exercise and shooting, but the friendship part of it is pretty neat because I'm meeting people that I probably never would have met in the real world, because we all have different outlooks on life. We all have different jobs. It might have different religious or political views. People that you probably wouldn't associate with if you met them at a mall or hardware store or Tim Hortons. For that matter, but airsoft kind of brought a whole bunch of different people together and opened my eyes on what community really means.
Nice. So, what do you have going on this year? What are your new goals?
This year is we've been trying to do a lot of different things with airsoft this year. Unfortunately, COVID has really slowed everything down. We're just starting, obviously, Narco State starting here in about an hour. Is our first big game of the year. This one was actually on schedule. It's always done on the August long weekend, but it's the other games that were before it. We had Parabellum scheduled and Warzone scheduled earlier in the year. Now, COVID restrictions and lockdowns have postponed them to September, October dates at this point. So we're back in this kind of very condensed season. A lot of us are going to be here every weekend for the next 2 to 3 months, instead of doing like one big event a month, per season. So we're kind of trying to get on that. I've got a lot of different things going on this year for airsoft. I really wanted to give back to the community and do things. We've done the base certification course. We're qualifying snipers and designated marksmen to make sure that they're safe and players are staying safe. And also got into Task, which is a new kind of game promoter that me and a whole bunch of other guys that play in the community wanted to give back to the guys that are hosting games. So it's one of those things where we wanted to get like all these guys out that like Force Recon, Black Cell, guys that are always hosting games and never play. We wanted them to come play, and we were going to turn the tables and be the host for them. Now, unfortunately, that got postponed till next year because with the super condensed season, we don't want people to have to choose, and a lot of the guys that are promoting games wouldn't be able to play anyway. So we're going to push it off to next year, but Task is here today, and we are actually running the contracts tonight for Narco and the ones day contracts tomorrow morning.
So, we have sniper courses. We've got events coming up like Parabellum 2. Mm-hmm. We've got... Well, we have the new vehicle. Well, that's an older vehicle, but for those who've never seen it, we have a tactical. You yourself, as an ambassador, have been all over. I know you've been all over because I follow you on Instagram and your podcast. Now,
the Not a Podcast.
Not a podcast.
Live stream.
That was very complicated to try to explain that to people, but you did a very good job of it's a podcast, but it's really not a podcast. Yeah. But if you were to tell some of the younger players, based on my age group, what would you say to them about airsoft and getting into the sport, not just for the first time, but for the future of it? Because let's face it, a lot of kids never look past their Saturday and Sunday play, and they know about Milsims, but I think they're missing something because this is a whole different family.
Yeah, so if they're like a casual airsoft player, a younger guy doing skirmishes at their local field, you know, maybe that's all they want out of life, and they're getting the best airsoft life that they think that they're getting. But if they want more, I implore them to reach out and try to start making friends that want to go into bigger games, because these big games are absolutely no fun unless you've got people to enjoy them with. Not speaking from personal experience, because I've jumped into these games as a lone wolf and I've made a lot of great friends as well. But if you really want to have an enjoyable experience, just start talking to your buddies that you might skirmish with, and head out to like a small Milsom. Narco State would be like the perfect starter event, just because it's one of these games where it's not a hardcore 18 to 24 hour stay on the field the whole time. This game is very relaxed. It's done in 2 phases. Nobody has to stay on the field any longer than they want to.
And the nice part is you didn't have to register as a full group either.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Black Cell does really well is the single person registration. And that's what I love being an ambassador for these guys, because it's just like they do have a game coming up called Conquer, which is a full squad registration. They have applications out right now, but it's the first of its kind for them. They usually always do the individual registrations, and that's what I really enjoy about it, because you don't have to, oh, come on, guys, I got to get like 10 buddies together. And then the other problem with squad registrations, once you get registered, life changes later on, and some guys have to do other things, and they drop out, and then you go scrambling to find people to replace them. And
see, I liked Parabellum because, again, you didn't have necessarily an entire squad. You had smaller groups coming out. Yep. You were John Wick.
Yes.
I wish there was an NPC for the hotel manager. I would have loved to be a hotel manager walking around.
We can probably work on something this year for you.
Because that way you have a Winston, because let's face it.
We need a Winston.
You know somebody's getting shot because have you seen the commercial for John Wick 4?
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I'm not missing any of that.